really is a pleasure to just spend a few minutes. I'm not going to talk very long. I'm going to really leave it open to questions. Hopefully I can answer them. But to be honest with you, I'm really new to this. So as Bob mentioned, when we were in San Juan last spring, um, um, we had a presentation about Catholic dialogue schools and this idea of how do we maintain our faith, our schools, faith community, faith life in the midst of an increasingly secularized world. And I would say it's probably, as we've been talking about in our cohort group so far this fall, the few times that we have met, secular, the secularization of the world is not our enemy. It's not our friend. It's our reality. So how do we operate within that reality? So I'm going to put in the chat the ECSI website, the Enhancing Catholic School Identity website. And then Bob, I don't know if I have the ability to share, but if you could give that to
Should
me,
be able to share. Let me double check here. I think I made you a co-host,
Oh yeah,
Elliot. Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, I can see. I can do it now. Great, awesome. But I did give you the link to that website. So basically, after San Juan, Bob Reiser put out this call to see if anybody would want to pilot or be a part of this pilot or Vanguard group to see about, how can we become a dialogue school, or how can we talk more fully about ECSI. So, and initially I was very hesitant. I was like, one more thing to do, right? I wasn't quite certain. Given the presentation in San Juan, I was like pretty well overwhelmed, pretty much overwhelmed. Anybody that was there, I don't know if I'd seen some head nods and everything else that from those that were there. It was quite overwhelming, the material that was presented. And I was just like, my president and my principal are not going to go for this right now. But then Bob Reiser, again, in his way, reached out to me. He goes, "It really is not about the school. It's about you, Elliott. If you're willing to put the work in, it is fine. It's not going to cost your school anything except your time." So it's like, all right, thanks, Bob. That makes everything wonderful. So, and really, that's how he kind of sold it to us. So, or at least how he sold it to me. It was more my time. So it has meant 5 evening sessions through the fall. And I'm going to share with you sort of the overview of what that looks like, okay, or what these sessions have looked like so far. And then I'll highlight, so we've had an info session, or our opening session where it was kind of outlined. We met our facilitator, or our, if you want to call him, our teacher, Paul Sharkey. I can give you a little information about Paul, who's been wonderful, very knowledgeable. He's been wonderful in terms of his presentation. I've learned a lot in 3 sessions already. We have 2 more to go. And in the hopes is by the end of these 5 sessions, we'll have picked a project here at our school. It doesn't have to be something that hasn't been invented yet. So we can pick a project or a program that we already have in place, and we're going to apply some of the concepts that we've learned to that program. That's how it's been explained to me. So let me share my screen, and I'll share a little bit. And I know a couple of people on the screen are also in the group with me. So feel free to chime in as well. So again, Paul Sharkey is our teacher. So here's a little information about Paul. He is the postgraduate coordinator and lecturer at Catholic Theological College, University of Divinity in Melbourne. And you can see all there. He taught for 10 years in a Jesuit school. He knows our charism. He knows what we are about. And so I think that's been obviously very helpful to us in our work thus far. Uh, and so, so here is sort of the overview of the four main sessions. So again, we've had two so far, and each session has a different focus. So first one was culture. So engaging critically with meaning, transcendence, and commitment, experiencing transcendence within an imminent frame. So we looked at the work of Charles Taylor, and so that was fascinating. I never really heard of this concept, so again, I'm learning a lot through this. It's been very interesting to learn it. Love and again, I love having dialogue with colleagues. So our conversations within these sessions has really been very fruitful and robust. Um, and so, uh, and then again, bringing it back to this idea of a Catholic dialogue school. This past session, just last week, or a week ago, Monday, November 4th, the focus was on theology, and we actually used, or one of the main things that we used for this session was Danny Wang's uh, evangelization lecture from Jeju, the symposium from this past summer in Indonesia. So it was really, again, fascinating. I had watched it over the summer when it occurred, but rewatching it again in the light of this presentation or in the pre-election material, it took on new significance. And again, I think what we're seeing is San Juan, Indonesia, this pilot group, this cohort group that's implementing this ECSI curriculum, and then what we're going to see at Creighton for the colloquium. I think they're all being tied in together, and I think, again, the impression I've gotten is that this will be a yearly offering. And so, and again, an opportunity to go deeper, even, get closer to that quote unquote dialogue school. I mean, we're just scratching the surface with all of this. And again, for those that were in San Juan, you saw the detail and saw what is necessary for a dialogue school to really take shape. And so, but again, I think we're getting a taste of it. Okay. So we haven't gotten to our next two. So our next two sessions are November 25th and then December 16th. So as you see, we have the culture. So what does it mean to be part of a secularized culture? How does the theology fit into that with regard to, and we, again, looking at Charles Taylor, imminent frame, then looking at the theology, how theology fits into all of this, into this secularized culture. What does ECSI really mean for us? The challenge of witnessing to a strong and inclusive Catholic faith. And then finally, how we can apply this to our school. And again, I've been told that we are going to pick one program to kind of use as our sort of guinea pig program, to kind of try to implement some of our learnings from the fall. And then I guess part of it was we're going to give a presentation at the colloquium about it. So that's kind of the overview. I did want to show just two other things, and then obviously I can open it up to questions that you may have. So again, these are more just, again, this was the overview of the sessions. And again, we looked at different, some of the scales that we looked at in San Juan, we looked at it again a little bit more in depth here. So we looked at the Melbourne scale. We're going to look at the Victoria scale during the next session. And then from our last session, we looked at this book, After Emmaus, from Marcel Dumas. I actually ordered the book. And so it looked at 4 models for evangelization. Again, a lot to do in an hour. We did our best. And so the recommendation was to pick up the book and look forward to reading more about these models of evangelization. So there's a focus in each session too. So, and then there is a lot of time. I mean, we spend probably half of the hour just having dialogue with each other. So I really feel like it's not just Paul spewing things at us or throwing things at us. You know, there are things to do ahead of time and in the prelection, which I think allows for us to actually really engage with each other when we have our Zoom calls. And so, again, it's been really helpful for me. And again, I'm glad, initially I was very hesitant about it. Even after the first info session, I was like, what did I get myself into? This is going to be a lot of work. And it is, but I think in the end, what I'm finding is it's well worth it. And hopefully I'll come out with even more knowledge regarding all these, even if it's not just even if it's not fully implementing what a Catholic dialogue school would be, but how can we enhance our Catholic school identity in the midst of a very changing demographic within our own population? The number of Catholic students that we have here at Fairfield has dwindled. We have a lot of students that now identify as Christian non-practicing, not just not Catholic or Catholic not practicing, but really Christian not practicing. And so what does that mean for us? And how do we reach those students who aren't practicing, but still call themselves Christian, or even those that even claim to be atheist, and we've seen an increase in other faiths here too. We have somewhere around 16 Jewish students here right now. We have about a dozen Muslim students. So in a school of 800. So all boys. So these are all questions, that, and then when we get into the surveys, and the idea of surveying and whatnot too, that's another step in the process here. So